Mr. Dennis Amakre joins us this morning. He's a former assistant director with the SSS to weigh in on this matter. Mr. Amakre, good morning. Thank you for joining us on the program today. Well, lots of concerns being raised across the country, concerning these attacks and how it bothers on the capability or ability of security agencies to guarantee election security, even though the president has consistently maintained that he will do what he can to ensure credible elections. Now, from your perspective, having been in the security circles, given what is playing now, what sort of challenge do you think we face now, especially as it may or not affect the 2023 elections?
Thank you very much for having me. You see, this kind of threat we are having has persisted, and funny enough, it is evolving, it is changing, because I remember very well in the other days when I was even in service, what we were worried about were election box snatching, ballot box snatching. They will snatch it and run away, and then of course the security agents were on guard to make sure the ballot boxes were not snatched. Then the next thing, we were having buying of votes. People were busy buying votes and trying to see if they could win the election. Remember, all these are just forms of rigging, rigging. And then as they snatch, we've moved on to registering fake voters. And of course, you saw what the CUPP guys announced, where there were a lot of names that were not more than what the world had originally registered. So right now, what we have is people burning down INEC facilities, because if they could not snatch the box and they could not buy the votes as they wanted, they go ahead and then start burning down the buildings. But I'm very happy for one thing. INEC has been ready for this. The beavers, I think, is a blessing to our electoral process. And I think there is more that it can do for us than all these criminally minded people.
Now, from when all of these things happen, one of the key questions that always bugs a lot of people is, whatever happens to intelligence, nipping all of this in the bud? And of course, many, insofar as these attacks occur, don't seem to rank the agencies high or high enough, because they feel that, having seen these attacks over time, they should, in many cases, over 90% of the cases, be ahead to ensure that these attacks don't happen to the agency's offices. So do they have a point when they say that, because they expect a lot from security agencies this time?
Yes, security agencies are working the best they could, because I could tell you, if there were no security agencies or agents, there would have been more attacks and more burning down. But because of the fear of the security agencies and what they can do and who they have arrested, the only one I'm worried about is when you arrest them, I want them to actually be prosecuted and be shamed, but not just to arrest or lock them up. The IG has said it. Is ready to deal with these criminals who are hiding under, the guise of agitation, So the security agencies are doing very well, but what I would want to see more is where they preempt a lot of this burning by putting together a physical security protective measure against these INEC offices. It's just like when we talk about the prisons. If you don't put enough concentric circles around a sensitive facility, it becomes like any other place. And you see INEC offices along the street, you see them anywhere, and people can walk up to it, people can do all kinds of things. So I think more protective measures not just walls, you know, but more protective measures, perimeter fencing, surveillance systems, and alarm systems, you know, and then of course, watering system. Now that we know that the method of choice is arsonist, let us put some sprinkler system or whatever, but more security for INEC offices.
Well, some people would say those might be medium-term projections, given the fact that, you know, we're already preparing for elections and perhaps making those adjustments might take a bit of time, budgeting, etc. I don't know, but you understand how government works. I'd like to take you up on the people that have been arrested. We've seen a concentration of attacks on Imo. We've seen, yes, that some states have been picked out by this arsonist, these people who are targeting INEC offices. But Imo seems to have faced quite a significant number of these attacks. First was the attack on the INEC headquarters, which security agents were able to repel, and they were able to get a number of suspects. Yesterday, it was reported that the DSS had arrested the head of operations, or the people who masterminded the attack on the INEC headquarters. But also yesterday, we also got information from INEC that another local government in Imo State as well, their office there was targeted and attacked. I think it's Isu local government area of Imo State. Is there a reason why you think that Imo is particularly volatile?
Imo is volatile because of many reasons. There are people who had cross-carpeted to other parties, and there are other people that feel that they need to take back power because they were having it before, and now that it has been taken over from them, they are like left naked, you know. And of course, we also have the other. Remember, Imo is like the frontier, and you know, between rivers and the southeast region. And you have a lot of agitations going on about IPOB, Biafra, and all those kind of things. So they feel that if they could secure or have the Imo area to be on their side, or have it, it will form a better frontier, you know, than what they expected. But there might be other reasons where a lot of things, even the voters, because I think, like I said, many people are trying to prove when they cross carpet that they want to also prove that they can deliver what they have now achieved. They have to deliver their area. And they go ahead and maybe start to inflate voters or get fake voters registration and stuff like that. But I'm happy that INEC is looking into it and dealing with it. Like you said earlier, these things might be of short term, and we cannot be able to do some of those physical infrastructural security. But I think the security agencies should start taking note, because it has to start one day. You either start it now and perfect it for the next election, or you allow it to fester.
Given what we're already saying, what sort of preparations need to be in place for the elections, particularly in a state like Imo?
For Imo, I think that they have to re-strategize. They have to re-strategize. You know, we know the targets. We know the targets, the things they want to destroy. PVCs that have not been issued out, or PVCs that are still with INEC and other sensitive voters materials. I think those things should be relocated. They can be relocated to other more secured areas than those buildings. Like I said, those buildings are just sitting ducks. So relocate, and then, of course, re-strategize. And, of course, for security reasons, I know INEC and the DSS will be talking about more strategies that they could use in securing Imo State.
Let's flip this conversation now to Lagos.
Well, thank you, Markwe. Mr. Makri, you said something just now, and I find it quite interesting when you mentioned the fact that we can do something long term. We've been in this democratic experience now for about 22, 23 years or thereabouts. And so one wonders, and this whole election insecurity isn't a new thing on us. And you rightly put it, when you said the election insecurity has shifted its shape over time. Previously, it was ballot box snatching and all of that, but now it's come to what we have now, arson and all of that. But my question to you now is, for the long term, we're 23 years into this experience now. For the long term, what have we missed that we should have done? There are those who are pointing to the fact that there has been no retribution to those who fomented this trouble up until now. And consequently, they just feel that they can continue the same thing they've been doing over time. So from your own perspective, the fact that no one has been sustainably punished and consequently a significant deterrence meted out to someone hasn't occurred, it would seem. Do you think that is something significant?
Very significant, because that's the problem of Nigeria. When you look at it, because we are having laws. Our laws are very many, and they cover most areas. Most areas. Even besides the criminal aspect, we have an electoral laws that we also pursue. So we are not having a lack of laws to be enforced, but our criminal justice system really have to wake up, because you need to. The security agencies from the executive arm will arrest, take them into custody and bring them to court. And then, of course, these cases will linger and linger and linger. And sometimes we forget. Nigerians will usually forget after some months. We forget, and then it's not prosecuted. So why are we doing this? Why can't we strengthen our judicial system to make sure that at least somebody will be scared that, look, it's like traffic offense. If I'm speeding above the speed limit and police catches me, they give me a ticket. The next time they might seize my ticket, my license, and stuff like that. But here, nobody is punished, and we cannot see or make an example of somebody, so the thing will continue. But I think in the long run, we need to change our voting system. There is nothing better than electronic. We have to do that. Number one, there are systems that we need to put in place. Some of them are still around because your electronic information is all over the place. Your bank has it, INEC has it, all kinds of airlines have it. If you fly, so your electronic information is out there. Why can't we bring all together? We bring it up to all together, give you a social security number, and then on voting day, we can decide to say, okay, let me go out and vote, or I can even vote from my house. Because if the system is very good, and nobody can duplicate me, then it is, easy for me to even vote from my house. So these are things that we should be looking at.
Okay, well, that's one leg. My apologies, Mr. Makri. That's one leg of the conversation. And there are those who believe, of course, we are on the way there because in 1999, we didn't have any form of electronic inclusion other than to type in the results into a laptop and stuff like that. But then, so let's, going back to the issue you raised about deterrence, this announcement, which of course Malcolm mentioned the other time, that there's been an arrest made by some of your colleagues in the DSS, you don't think that, I mean, a specific name is mentioned of someone who has been arrested. You don't think that can produce anything that will give us a deterrence?
Yes, I think we should be naming people. I don't know whether it is the tradition. I know I spoke to the director of SSS in Imo State. He's a busy guy. He's been on their tail. You know, he's been pursuing them and tracking them down. But usually when they, surrender them to the judicial system, nobody knows about them again. But I was even suggesting, why can't we do that? Legally, maybe not, because, you are innocent until proven guilty, and that might, stop a lot of people from, being named, as what they did. But I feel that if there is enough evidence to show that these guys have done this, I think we should go ahead, put their pictures out there, name them, let their families be ashamed, but trying to cover their face or hiding them and not naming them and sending them into the system where it will just muddle up in the quagmire, I think is not a very good idea.
Mr. Makri, your views seem to suggest that, or support that of the Imo State governor, who has always said that the attacks and unrest in Imo State are politically contrived. Am I correct?
Very correct. Very correct. Because the problem with Imo State is political, basically political. A very, very quiet state before. But, like I said, the change of government, where some people have lost out, as new people have taken over the saddle, and instead of seeing government as a continuum, some people feel they have to come back because maybe they have had some kind of brush, or should I say disrespect, or some kind of retribution for being out of government. So yes, it's political. Very political.
Strong insinuations there, and it's, they suggest that we know where we're headed, we know where the problem is from, but why are we not going after the problem? And I ask that based on what transpired at the House of Representatives some days ago, when the committee led a hearing where they invited, members of the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation, one who initially said that, let me just read that so that I'm not quoting what happened out of context, that there had been no request received from any security agency or INEC for the prosecution of persons arrested for attacks on electoral bodies' facilities. And not long after that, the official then backtracks to say that that they had not, received any communication to that effect. So what exactly is happening in that regard? How are you receiving this?
I hope it is not a situation where it is buried in the government bureaucracy. Sometimes you see you send the letter and we've not received the letter. When did you send it? We don't know. Things like this do happen. But I think they should get their acts together. They should get their acts together because right now we are facing an existential threat facing the country. The country is facing an existential threat. If we don't solve this problem and then keep on playing politics with it, even those people who feel that they should take over or those who are struggling to keep power are not going to have anything in their hands. It is very, very important, democracy should be practiced in a way that is equal justice under the law, and everybody has the same rights. Elections should be credible, fair, and fair to all when they want to vote. So these are things that we should not take for granted, because a lot of politicians are taking it for granted. Some believe that whatever happens, they'll win because they think that they can go back to their old styles. But
Mr. Makri,
INEC is involved. Yes.
Do you sense any pressure on security agents to truncate justice, particularly if the attacks are coming from unexpected quarters, strong politicians, perhaps who feel that their toes will be stepped on if prosecution, goes ahead?
I totally disagree that the security agencies are being pressured. And I do that because of what the president himself says. The security agencies for now report directly to the president, not to any party or not to any kind of government official. They report to the president. And the president, I think, is very serious when he says that he wants to leave a legacy of leaving behind a credible electoral process. So they listen to him. And I don't think that he will now truncate what he wants to leave behind as, as a legacy. So I don't think the security agencies are pressurized. They are not pressurized. They will go ahead because, the Nigerian, we have this Nigerian style of big man syndrome, or I'm a party chieftain, or I'm this or that, or I'm a minister or something that, some preference should be given to me. No. I think the security agencies, especially the DSS, I think they are trying to. That's why a couple of days ago I was reading about an attempt to arrest the central bank governor. And of course, what do you have? We have people who came out to demonstrate because the DSS was trying to seek approval. Before they will say, oh, you are not democratic, you go and just knock on people's door in the night. Although they still have those powers, they can do that, but they decided to go to court. And when they go to court, somebody said, oh, we cannot give you that permission. Fine. They want the consent of the president.
So, Mr. Makri, if you feel that security agents are not under any pressure, then it suggests that, of course, they made reports in the past. If they did make reports in the past requesting that the Office of the Attorney General prosecute electoral offenders or perpetrators of attacks on INEC offices, why hasn't there been any deterrence in the past?
That beats me too, because I feel that we should prosecute, jail, and then, of course, make it very, very public. Give it all the publicity so that it will serve as a deterrent. But when cases go in there, nobody hear about them again. Like if you ask anybody now, where is Kanu's case? Many people don't know exactly where it is, and this should be in the public domain. Evans, the kidnapper, we didn't hear about it until recently. We heard that, he has been sentenced to death, or he has been given some sentence. So you are not getting the right thing from the bureaucracy, of government. And that's why sometimes I would suggest that the security agencies should give a limit of independence, where they can pursue the national interest, as they see fit, not being guided either by politicians or by political parties.
When you say we're not getting the right thing from the bureaucracy of government, are you laying this at the doorstep of the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation, which should lead prosecution?
He is the prosecuting officer. Yes, he is. You know, a lot of time. In fact, on this particular platform, I've come to talk about it. Some people will be blaming the SSS and saying, oh, you guys, you know, you just take somebody, lock him up and do this, that, you know. But they cannot even take the man, whoever they have in detention, to court. It is the Attorney General's office that does that. So, yes, that is where the buck stops. And I think they should wake up and do their job properly.
Well, the only thing we are waiting for is strong enough deterrence so that these things don't continue to happen, because for as long as these things continue, INEC will have to replace these things. And there is a point that INEC says if these things continue into January, they may not be able to conduct a kind of elections. I mean, that would want, because they may not be able to replace some of these things in good enough time. For this time, we have to thank you, though, for being a part of our conversation this morning. Dennis Amakri is a former assistant director at the DSS. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you, Imo.
Okay. So we're back in a moment to talk on another issue. Please stay with us.